Hey guys, it's Ross Scott, and on the Space Coach today I'm going to be reviewing this, The Massacre of Mankind by Stephen Baxter, the sequel to The War of the Worlds. Just a little note, look at the state of this, because when I was reading it over the weekend and it was raining, I had my brolly. I put the brolly, when I was out of the rain, into my rucksack with this. Forgot to take this out afterwards and it was all soaking wet, and then I stuck it on the radiator to dry and it's ended up like this. I'll have to say though, it's kind of appropriate. It's all right, this book, but I have to admit I was a bit disappointed. It starts off with the Martians coming back in about 1920, and they land back in the UK. There's the initial chaos and they attack London, and they seal off a large area of the country, and then they just stay there for 2 years doing nothing. Obviously, society in that area adapts and evolves, and basically they're throwing each other to the wolves. You know, if you sacrifice the odd one or two, everyone else survives. It's very much like human nature. But this time, the Martians haven't just brought humanoid feedstock from Mars; they've also brought Venusian inhabitants as well to feed on, and they're kind of like aquatic humans. But yes. So there's this big 2-year time jump, and then the next round of the invasion starts. And that is quite exciting. It's quite short. It's about 300 or so pages in when they actually start attacking New York, which is the cover of this. So I did think this cover is a bit of a misnomer really for this book. And there's like little brief passages from when they attack, I think it's Durban, Berlin, St. Petersburg, Bombay, and I think also Peking. There's the old style names that they call those cities. And that is quite interesting, but it's like this much of the book compared to all of this. And they could have easily trimmed at least 100 pages out of this and you wouldn't have noticed. And then it's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina ending in that apparently just about all of the planets in our solar system in this universe are inhabited. And they get in touch with, well, they don't get in touch with the Jovians from Jupiter. What they do to get rid of the Martians, to stop the invasion, is because they're seeing these signs appearing on, say, Venus and on Mars and on Jupiter and its moons. And that essentially denotes the territory of that particular species. So Mars plants its signs all over Earth, meaning this is ours, like they planted it all over Venus, and that's how they ended up getting some of the local inhabitants. But the moons of Jupiter and Jupiter itself, there's these sigil signs that appear in the atmosphere and on the surface, basically warding off the Martians, because the Jovians are even more advanced than the Martians are. So basically, the main character, she's originally infected with diseases in her blood that will then transmute to the Martians if she comes in contact with them, like in the first book, I suppose. You know, it's the microbes that save humanity. But she decides not to do that. There's a better way of doing it, because if we commit genocide, are we any better than them? Instead, they recreate the Jovian sign on Earth, and that basically scares off the Martians. Like I said, it's kind of an Ex Machina ending. Well, that's not even really the ending, because the war essentially ends there. The Martians are gone like that. Where did they go? A lot of them did escape the planet, but a bunch of them went up to the North Pole, not exactly the North Pole, but in the Arctic, and burrowed themselves down deep. And they're starting to plant more of the red weed that will convert the atmosphere into something that's more Mars-like. But if the next time the Mars opposition occurs in this book, they launch, then they're attempting to basically wipe us out and colonize the entire planet. If they don't launch, then they're just basically, those people, those Martians still on Earth, they're going to be like a holdout, you know, and a little reserve and a little colony there, but they're not going to try and take over the entire planet. So like I said, it's a bit meh. And the state of the book really does summarise my thoughts on it. After that, I was a little bit disappointed. It reads well, like the first one, the original War of the Worlds, but it's too long. There's too much meandering about. Interesting passages, but not relevant really to the plot, and a lot could have been cut out, especially the aftermath of that 2 years, when the main character is trying to infiltrate this cordon area that the Martians have. It just goes on for at least 100 or more pages, and it's very detailed. Whereas other things, like the invasion of Earth, when it actually happens and the Martians are striking everywhere, that's a very short segment, and then it's over in a couple of days. So yes, that is my thoughts on it. Buy it if you want. I doubt I'll be giving it a second read for a long time, because I don't even think I've read The Time Ships again since I first got that in the 1990s. But anyway, guys, there you go. That is just my thoughts on Stephen Baxter's The Massacre of Mankind. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.